Welcome to our podcast, proudly brought to you by VPA Australia, our trusted supplement provider since Unity Gym started. As sponsored athletes, we're excited to offer you a special 10% discount on top quality supplements that ship worldwide. Just use our discount code from the description. To avoid international shipping fees, contact VPA and tell them we sent you to get a flat shipping rate. Today's episode is also sponsored by the Flexibility Blueprint. Ever felt lost in the sea of social media fitness advice? The Flexibility Blueprint is your map to progress, designed to help you get laser focused on what matters most for your journey in flexibility and strength. And guess what? It's free. Grab it using the link in the description. If you're starting your flexibility journey, don't miss our 20-minute mobility routine. It's your first step to quick wins in flexibility. For those further along, use our Flexibility Masterclass, featuring advanced techniques like loaded stretching and end range strength for the pancake, front splits, middle splits, and more. Links for both are also in the description. And for the seasoned athletes, avoid the frustration of complex training puzzles with our UMS Tribe membership. It's a different online coaching experience with strength and flexibility combined. Don't forget, we're Amazon affiliates too. You can find all the equipment used in our videos and podcasts at the most competitive prices with our affiliate links in the description. Now let's dive into today's episode.
What is up, everybody? This video, this podcast, this episode actually came completely unprepared. Rad and I were having our morning meeting. We have a morning meeting, directors meeting every day at 8 a.m. just to prepare ourselves for the day, make sure that we're both aligned because we both don't work in the same city anymore, and we're all online. And I was preparing for making cliff notes for our upcoming Boxing Day sale, which is something that we do every year. We inspire people to join one of our programs over the Christmas period to kickstart the new year. And I said to Rad, man, this is really, really important stuff that we're talking about. Why don't we record this and possibly turn it into a podcast? So if you're listening, it's worked out, and that's where this discussion came from. We narrowed this down to 5 really big key lessons that we've learned, that we've identified based on onboarding hundreds and hundreds of new people into our UMS Tribe membership. So we hear the same issues over and over and over again. We see the same hurdles people are trying to climb over on their own over and over and over again, the same consistencies that are holding people back. And we decided, okay, this is what we're going to frame our entire communication strategy around over the holiday period. We're going to reveal our biggest lessons from the year, and we're going to then show you how you can apply that knowledge to your training and hopefully make some progress from that. So enjoy. I hope you enjoy this conversation. It was not planned, scripted, or we didn't really even know until the very last minute that we were going to hit record. But I think there's a bit in here for everybody, especially if you're at that specialist stage and you're looking to break through a performance plateau, or potentially just take your training to the next level. This is going to be perfect for you. A drive for people to join our mailing list, because we're going to be talking about the biggest lessons that we have uncovered this year, working with people in the UMS. And the best way to be able to receive this content is to make sure that you subscribe to our newsletter, our email list, because we're going to be sending it out as emails. Mm-hmm. And this is stuff that's going to be a real game changer for people at that specialist level, because we've had some time now to onboard hundreds of people at that level who have very consistent obstacles that they're trying to overcome, and that really breaks down to those key points that we were talking about before. Trying to mismatch stretches into your current training split, but not understanding that both the stretching stimulus and the strength training stimulus are a load that needs to be managed. And it's very important that you get that right. People are just getting load management completely wrong, training upper and lower body on the same day, and then wanting to apply stretching stimulus to that workout when they're already doing strength on upper. You can't do it that way. You know, the key here is that you stretch the opposing limbs when you're strength training. Your upper body, you're stretching legs, and vice versa. You know, and so that whole idea is completely incorrect. You know.
Yeah, I think that the much bigger problem that people are facing, and the big lesson that we've learned this year, because I can relate to this is exactly what I did, is the idea of thinking that you're going to achieve the results that you want by piecing together fragments from watching YouTube videos, because there's so much that goes into getting results. And two things to even talk about and highlight: periodization and adaptation, or three things really, and progressive overload. You don't know even what the markers for success are when you're watching videos on YouTube. And this is why I did the slap tear to my shoulder, the first one that I did, because I was wanting to learn calisthenics for the first time. I'd never learned calisthenics. And so I went to YouTube and I watched a whole bunch of videos, and I learned the progressions of how to go from here to a tuck planche, and all the progressions are laid out. There's so many people that have got them there for you, that you can watch, and there's a couple of variants in the way that some YouTubers teach it, but it's all pretty much the same progressions to get there. But what you don't get from any of those videos is you don't get anybody looking at you and saying, yes, you have hit the minimum requirement to move to that next progression, or no, you still need more work on this, this, and this. And then so what people end up doing, this is certainly what I did, is that you get to a point where you think, well, I've been doing this for so long, I must be ready for that next progression. And then you go to that next progression, and eventually you either hit a plateau, or what's much worse and also common is that people eventually get injured because they start doing something that they can't do for themselves. And sorry, that they can't actually control.
Well, that's what you did, right?
That's exactly what I did. I progressed to a progression with the tuck planche that was beyond my capability, and I did a life-changing injury. I suffered a slap tear from it. And then when I finally started working with Roy Goldschmidt, or AKA Roy Gold, if you follow him on Instagram, and I worked with Roy for 2 years because I wanted purely to work with a coach that knew more than me about calisthenics and the things that I was trying to do, to see how he would coach me. And I didn't learn anything new as far as progressions go. There was nothing new, there's that saying, there's nothing new under the sun, and there wasn't. There was no revolutionary new exercise that he taught me that was the missing link that got me there. What it was the coaching. It was him watching me do check-ins weekly and saying, you need to focus on this a little bit more, you need to do that more, you need to tense these muscles, you need to do that. And it was all these things that I'd never seen in myself before, that I'd never had somebody that knew more than me. And then it's even more than that, because it also gives you the reassurance that what you're doing is the right thing. So instead of getting to the end of a week or a month and questioning and going, am I even doing the right thing? And then going back to YouTube looking for a new solution, which there is no new solution on YouTube for you. And that is what has given me that biggest breakthrough. I just want to finish what I'm trying to say here, Yanni, because then that ties into, this is why we created the UMS and systemized our approach to it, to deliver it at a price that for 1 month is far less than, it's less than a third of the price that I was spending on 1 week of coaching with Roy. And I've worked with multiple online coaches, and everybody charges the same, because when you don't have a systemized process like we do, you have to charge your time out like that. We developed the UMS app like that because another problem that we saw is that, and we identified this problem back at Unity Gym, is that nobody can afford private coaching for long enough to get the results that they want, because you don't get the results that anybody really wants in 6 weeks or 12 weeks. You get those results in many months and even years, the life-changing results. It's this ongoing thing. It's this integration into your life where you don't have to spend your time on YouTube looking for the solution anymore. You don't have to commit to one thing until you can't afford it anymore and then try and maintain what you were doing on your own without any coaching and support. It's about this ongoing support where you never have to think about what it is that you that you have to do again. And that's, I've never seen that with online coaching or even with personal training, which is why group training is so popular, because group training is something that people can afford long term. And that's what we saw at Unity Gym. We saw that our group training clients got better results than our personal training clients because they were able to afford it for a longer period of time. And so that's the
and more consistent and more
and
consistent.
and be more consistent with it. And that's
Yep.
and I'm framing a problem here because that's another big problem that people have when they go on YouTube and they think, okay, I'm going to do coaching, and they look at something like the UMS and think, well, that's a fraction of the price of what a coach charges, so it mustn't be as good. And it's completely flawed. It's a completely flawed mentality. I believe this is one of the biggest lessons that you and I have learned, and correct me if I'm wrong if you don't agree with this, Yanni, but the model of personal coaching, be it online or face to face, is completely flawed because nobody can afford it long term. Nobody can afford it long enough to get the results that they want, and it becomes this thing that people approach where I'm going to do coaching for this short period of time, and then I'm going to get myself, like people used to come to us saying with that idea of, I just need a kickstart. I just need, a couple of months of doing this. And what happens? They get results for a couple of months, and then all the results go away when they're not getting the coaching anymore.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think you said something really quite profound there that needs to be drilled into and elaborated on a little bit more. The difference, and this goes for everything. Like I remember when we used to have business coaches, and this was the key element. Your coach sort of has this different perspective of your problem that you don't see because you're in the whirlwind of, they used to call it running a business, where there's just so much that needs attention at any one time. And this is the same. I think you can draw similarities to people who are trying to figure it out by watching all these different videos on YouTube and trying to pull things that they like the sound of or they like the look of, and then apply them to their own training. You miss out on the most fundamental part of having a coach or having someone to help with accountability. And it's accountability on everything. It's not, when we say accountability, I don't mean, actually having someone kick your ass if you don't turn up to the gym. What I mean is accountability on, keeping you on the right movement for long enough that you get enough of an adaptation to it, helping make the decision of when it's time to progress to a new exercise or a new program phase, helping to manage load, looking at what you're doing and saying, no, how many times, one of the greatest examples was when we created the ultimate isometric strength formula and we put it up in the gym. And there was now this resource that our members, when they were training, because members weren't always there during a class, they'd come in and do extracurricular training,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they just couldn't make it to a scheduled time, so they'd come and do the workout on their own. And how often would you see someone trying a calisthenics progression that requires a certain amount of volume to get the result you need, and they're doing a progression that they don't come anywhere near holding long enough with good form or technique
All the time.
to actually get the progression right, and you would have to say, no, look at the ultimate isometric strength formula again. Look at how much time you need to get the result you want, and now look at what you should be doing. How many seconds you should be able to hold that for. And most people were just like, oh wow, I thought if I could just get the position momentarily, that would be enough if I repeat that process over time. No, you've got to be able to hold it for 15, 20 seconds, and then do that for a number of sets in a workout to achieve the required volume to force your body to adapt. That's just one example. Your example of blowing out your shoulders, attempting progressions that weren't right for you at that stage. These are the things that having a coach's eye on you, and it doesn't even need to be every workout. It just needs to be a point where when you feel you're ready to progress, like what we do in the UMS, people are posting videos of themselves so that the coaches can have a look and say, no, you're not ready yet, or yes, you're absolutely ready to progress. Those are the little things that you forget. It's that accountability that you don't realize you need. And it was exactly the same in business. I've had a number of business mentors and coaches before that they are able to just get you laser focused on the things you need most. You know, your sales system's broken. That's what you need to focus on. Forget everything else and focus on that one thing. Knock that domino over and watch the next domino fall, you know, which will be cash flow or whatever. You know, that's what a coach does. A coach or a mentor sits from a bird's eye view, looking at everything and seeing the little things, the little nuances, the little form corrections, the little progression timing, the overload methods that you don't see when you're working out because you're in the grind. And frankly, you don't have the brain capacity to be thinking about that stuff. You need to be able to put that side of your training on auto flow or autopilot and just focus on turning up and doing the work in the moment to the best of your ability,
Well, that's
you know.
well, that's something that I wanted to say as well, because if we go back to this idea of what are the biggest lessons that we've taken out of this year, what have we learned, and this idea of overwhelm that people have, like when I look at there's a theme on comments on YouTube. There's this where people say, I've got this pain in my shoulder. What can you tell me an exercise that's going to fix it? And the answer is no. There isn't an exercise that's going to fix it. There's a process that will fix it. And there's a series of exercises that, when used correctly and when paired with other exercises, will fix it. And all of these things are stuff that, you know, people need. We all only have a certain amount of time, right? And time is money. It really is. Time is money. Time is the most valuable resource that we've got. And the amount of time that is put into watching YouTube videos to try to figure out the solution that you can create for yourself, when what we've learned is 99 out of 100 people can't create that solution for themselves. There's so much that goes into programming, that goes into, you know, getting strong, getting flexible, overcoming shoulder pain that you've never had before, unlocking calisthenics and movement skills that you've never had before. And it's more than what the average person can do for themselves by watching a YouTube video and self-critique them. I've got to go because my son is he's calling me to say bye to school. So I got to take him to school. I hope you guys got some value out of this. These are really big lessons, and I know this is a shameful plug. I know that, you know, Yanni and I don't do this stuff normally, but we were just having this conversation about what are the things that we've learned this year. And the truth is, this is one of the biggest lessons. You know, we're looking at the state of the questions of what people are coming to us with, and the overarching solution is you need to stop trying to figure out how to make this all work for yourself, and you need someone to give you the solution. And that comes from the programming that we offer in the UMS.
People need a coach, not a program.
And people even come in to the UMS saying, I just need this fraction of the UMS to bolt into what I'm doing. And that's just the same problem. Now you're paying to still do more work yourself, instead of paying to just have all that work done and you just turn up and do it. Hope you guys got some value out of this. Like and subscribe. And
Just